The name Botswana means land of those who speak Setswana. Botswana has a human population of 2.3 million. The country's economy is dominated by mining, cattle, and farming. 70% of Botswana is actually Kalahari Desert and is part of a large area belonging to the original man, the San. Archaeological findings like stone tools, skeletons, and cave art in Botswana dates back to 73,000 years ago. The first written records relating to modern Botswana dates back to 1824, and everything before is either oral or is related to areas outside of what is now known as Botswana.
Hey there gang, this is T and welcome to Afropolymath.
Botswana gained its independence in 1966 from the British rule, as it was a British Protectorate known as Bechuanaland Protectorate. During the scramble for Africa, Britain decided to annex Botswana and all Tswana territories, and by 1885, the Warren expedition was sent to convince Tswana leaders to accept British rule. During the early 1890s, the British government handed over the Bechuanaland Protectorate to the British South Africa Company, which was the brainchild of Cecil Rhodes. But before this could be official, British colonial administrators Jameson and Cecil Rhodes carried out an unsuccessful raid against the South African Republic led by Paul Kruger. This embarrassed the British government, and they replaced Cecil Rhodes and gave up dominance over a majority of territories and gold mines. So Botswana almost became part of South Africa. South Africa was divided into 4 parts before it became the South Africa we know today. It was the British Cape Colony, the Natal Colony, which belonged to the British, and the 2 Boer republics, the Orange Free State and the South African Republic or Transvaal. Botswana was the 5th territory under British rule and would have easily become part of South Africa. Instead of becoming part of the British South Africa Company for maximum profits, Botswana remained a British protectorate with 3 Dikhosi playing a major role in the leadership of most Tswana territories. These 3 Dikhosi or 3 kings were Khama III, Sibili I, and Bethian I. Even though Britain protected a large area of what is used to be Bechuanaland, some parts of it were lost to the Boer and many private companies or independent European states. For an example, a province known as Northwest in South Africa used to be a part of Bechuanaland and would have become a part of modern-day Botswana. In disputes with the Boer and other surrounding forces, Britain gave up everything below Molopo River, giving away areas like Phokeng and other pieces of land that were considered land of those who speak Setswana. Had the Jameson Raid succeeded, Cecil Rhodes would have single-handedly unified all areas covered by modern-day South Africa, Botswana and Zimbabwe, which used to be named after him as Rhodesia. When the Union of South Africa was formed in 1910 from the main British colonies and all Boer republics, Bechuanaland Protectorate, Basotholand Protectorate, and Swaziland or modern-day Eswatini were not included, and thus they remained partially free from British rule or Dutch rule. Steps were already taken by 1911 that these British protectorates will be included in the Union of South Africa. However, British began consulting with the inhabitants of these territories, thus delaying all measures to finalize. This led to the creation of the Advisory Council in Bechuanaland to represent both Africans and Europeans in 1920. The African Council consisted of 8 Tswana tribe leaders and some elected members. And by 1934, a proclamation by the United Kingdom regulated tribal rule and power. A second council, the African-European Council, was officially formed in 1951. Many successive South African governments sought to have Bechuanaland transferred to their jurisdiction, but the UK kept delaying and by so doing allowed the people of Botswana to get their shit together. Consequently, it never happened, and in 1948, the election of the Nationalist Party of South Africa, which instituted apartheid and South Africa's withdrawal from the Commonwealth in 1961, ended any possibilities of the United Kingdom agreeing to incorporate its protectorate into South Africa. In 1964, the United Kingdom accepted proposal for a democratic self-government in Botswana, though an independent conference was only held 2 years later after Botswana held its first elections and officially gained independence in 30 September 1966. Seretse Khama, Khama III's grandson became the first president of Botswana. The country had many leaders after Seretse Khama, Ian Khama, Seretse's son, who also became the president of Botswana in 2008. Botswana is relatively small in human population compared to many countries, including its border neighbors. Writing as an art form has existed in Botswana for more than 20,000 years. Consciousness and didactic writing styles and other forms of writing as a form of art is still practiced today. There are 5 local television channels for the 2.3 million, 5 local radio stations and 13 newspapers including The Telegraph, The Voice and The Guardian. Botswana's music is mostly vocal and performed sometimes without drums depending on the occasion. Songs mostly consist of strings using an ancient Tswana musical instrument called segankure or segaba. Hands or a very specific clap of the palm and fingers are usually a major instrument in Tswana songs.